So yes children, now we will be discussing about the planets in detail. Okay, so as I told you in the previous video, we are going to discuss about the 8 planets. Obviously the ninth one has been shed from the list of the planets. So if we take their names in order of their distance from the sun, they are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. Okay, now something that you need to know about them is that all of them, they have a particular orbit. Okay, and it is around just along that orbit that they revolve around the sun. So remember one thing, that all the planets, okay, all the planets except for Uranus and Venus rotate from west to east. So even our planet, that is Earth, it rotates from west to the east. That is why everything seems to be rising from the east and setting in the west. So from the west we are moving towards the east. Okay, so just like Earth, the rest of the planets are also doing the same except for both, that is the second one, that is Venus and Uranus. Okay, these two rotate, we cannot precisely say they rotate from east to west, no, not exactly, but then they are maintaining a different rotation, different direction of rotation, unlikely from the other ones. Okay, so remember all the planets and their direction of rotation. Now moving on, we are going to talk about the classification of planets. Okay, so the planets are basically classified into 2 categories. The first one is the inner planets and the second one is the outer planets. The inner planets, remember, the inner planets are the one that lie close to the sun. Or in other terms, if I tell you, the first 4 planets are known as the inner planets, which includes Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars. So remember why they are known as the inner planets, because they are closer to the sun. Also children, remember, they are also known by the name terrestrial planets. Okay, terrestrial planets. Why? There is a reason behind it, as their structure is similar to that of the Earth. So remember these 2 names, inner planets. Why? Because they are closer to the sun. And terrestrial planets, why? Because their shape, their appearance is similar to that of our planet, that is Earth. Also remember the names, the first 4, easy to remember, Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars. Now obviously if the first 4 are known as the inner planets, we are left with the remaining 4 planets. So they fall into the category of outer planets. Now why are they known as the outer planets? The reason is just opposite to that of inner planets. These 4 are known as the outer planets because they lie far away from the sun. Okay. Now, what is the other name given to them? These are also known as the Jovian planets. Remember, here it was terrestrial planets because the shape was similar to Earth. Here it is Jovian planets because their structure is similar to that of Jupiter. Remember children, you just have to remember the names. The first 4 inner, also known as terrestrial, because they are similar to Earth. Outer, that is the last 4, also known as Jovian planets because their structure is similar to that of the Jupiter. Okay, so this is all about planets that you should be knowing. Now, moving on to the third topic, or rather the second major topic of your chapter, that is Earth, a unique planet. Now we are going to discuss about the features of Earth, or we are going to discuss about some particular processes and some particular things that make life possible on Earth. Okay, so number 1 is your optimum distance between Earth and Sun. That's the first point. Children, I already told you in the last video that the distance, average distance between the Earth and the Sun is 148 million kilometer. See, you can just imagine the solar system. You all know the diagrams. So you know the Sun at the center, Mercury, Venus, then comes our Earth, and then you have Mars. So let's take the first 2 planets, Mercury and Venus. Remember children, they are very close to the Sun. As a result, they are getting extensively heated up. Okay, heated up, that means the temperature is very, very much. So obviously at a very high temperature, living things will not be able to survive. So that is the case with Mercury and Venus. Then comes Earth. Just beyond Earth you have your Mars. When you talk about Mars, Mars is far away from the sun, not very far away, but then when you consider the heat received by the planet Mars, it is very less as compared to that of the Earth. So here when we say optimum distance, we are actually relating the optimum distance with the optimum temperature. So now right now you will see that is the second point, optimum temperature, because distance, see, the main source of heat is the sun, isn't it? So the temperature is also related to that. So here when we say optimum distance, we are trying to say that Earth is neither too near to the sun nor too far away from the sun, and that is one reason why life is possible on the Earth. Okay, so the second point is, as I said, optimum temperature. Now, Earth has an average temperature of 17 degree. Mercury being too near to the sun, has 400 degrees Celsius, and Mars being very far away has minus 140. So as I told you, the distance and the temperature is related because the source of the heat for the entire solar system is the sun. So here it says Earth has average temperature. Remember, we are not talking about a particular temperature, because 17 degrees isn't the temperature that we experience. So when we talk on a global basis, when we take the average, we say it is 17 degree. Just see about the case of Mercury. It is too near to the sun. As a result, the temperature shoots up to 400 degree, which is too much for survival of anything. And if you talk about anything that is beyond Earth, that is your planet Mars or any planet beyond it, the temperature there drastically drops to minus 140. So you can just compare the numbers, and it is very clear that this 17 degrees is something that is very optimum for the survival. So this is the second reason why Earth is sustainable, Earth is supporting life. So remember, the first and the second point is related to each other. Okay. So the third one, presence of three domains. Now this, children, the narrow zone of contact between land, water and air. See, in simple words, if you just try to understand it, we need land and water and air to survive. So if you talk about the layer, we can call land as the lithosphere, water as the hydrosphere and air as the atmosphere. So simple as that. All these three domains are very necessary for supporting life. So again, Earth is having all the three. As a result, it supports life. Now the fourth one is something new, which is heat balance. I don't know how many of you have heard about this term, but when you talk about the heat balance, there are two processes that you need to know. That is insolation and terrestrial radiation. Simple as that, children. Insolation is the incoming solar radiation, or if I frame it into simple sentence, it is the heat received by the Earth. Okay, and terrestrial radiation is the heat reflected from the Earth. So during the day, insolation, that is the sun rays strike the Earth and the land is getting heated up. During night, the heat is sent back from the Earth in reverse direction, and that is your terrestrial radiation. So basically, this incoming of the rays and outgoing of the rays during night, both these processes together is able to maintain the heat on the Earth. Had any one of these processes being missing, again the temperature would have rise too much and life would have not been possible. So remember this. Then we come to presence of atmospheric gases. Again, you're very familiar with these names, nitrogen and oxygen. Nitrogen is 78% and oxygen is nitrogen is 71% and oxygen is 29%. You know the variables there. Anyway, there's one more gas that needs to be added, that is your carbon dioxide, that is 0.02%. Okay, all these three gases are very important. Oxygen is needed for human for breathing, nitrogen is used by the plants, again carbon dioxide is also needed for the food making mechanism of the plant. So these three gases are important. So again, our atmosphere has all these three gases in considerable amount, so that again supports sustainability on the planet Earth. Okay, last one, presence of the ozone layer. Again, whenever we talk about the ozone layer, what is the purpose of the ozone layer? It protects the Earth from, simple as that, it protects the Earth from the UV rays. Also, children, remember, it also prevents the extreme heating of the Earth. See, had this ozone layer not been there, the entire UV rays would have entered Earth. Okay, obviously UV rays is hazardous for the skin, it causes various problems to all the living, beings. Also, it would have added up, accumulating temperature would have been there. That means there would have been a drastic increase in the temperature of the earth. So that is another reason. So presence of these 2 points are also related, children, because both of them are dealing with the atmosphere. So when you talk about atmosphere, Earth's atmosphere has the gases needed, and also it has the ozone layer that protects us from the UV rays. Last thing, there's just one thing. Earth is also known as a blue planet or a watery planet. From the name itself, you can understand, children, we call it a blue planet. Why? Because major portion of the earth is covered with water. So that is why the name blue planet or the watery planet. Okay, so that's it for this topic. Now in the next video, we'll be beginning with the shape of the earth.